Hey everyone, welcome to the RotoGrinders Morning Grind Podcast. I'm your host, Stevietpfl. It's Thursday. It's August 10th. It is 2023. We have 4 baseball games here on the main slate, the late slate. There's a couple games early in the morning as well, but as always on the morning grind, we focus on the main slate because people plenty of time to tune in and listen to the podcast. Joined today by my friend Krisi Metzger, Creighton 12 in the DFS streets. Krisi, you've been absolutely crushing it. I was telling you, congrats. You took down the $33 single entry series with RotoGrinders and FanDuel. It was last week, and I told you, and I'll tell the listeners as well, I think that's impressive. I think that's more impressive than taking down a qualifier. Doing it for a whole week, putting up 4 really good scores is just really impressive. So congratulations, and happy to talk some baseball with you today.
Absolutely. Appreciate it, Stevie. No, I agree. It is, trying to do it for a whole week at a time, and exciting to do that. Didn't even realize that I had hit first place there. So obviously fun to do it. It's great to do that single entry series that we're doing here for the 7 weeks, I believe. So great opportunity. So yeah, I'm excited to talk some baseball with you too. We were talking beforehand. We kind of like these small game slates on Thursdays, or on Wednesday nights heading into Thursday. So yeah, I think it's a pretty good little slate too for a 4-gamer. So it'd be great to talk it down with you. Talk the slate with you.
It's really interesting slate because I mean we have pitching and then we have pitchers. Yep. Hope everyone's having a fantastic Wednesday night over there in YouTube chat. What's up, YouTube chat? Good prop night for me. I didn't play a ton of DFS. Traditional DFS. I played some pick'em. So really good prop night so far, or fantasy pick'em night. So, I got super busy with some stuff for work and didn't get to make a ton of DFS teams, but looks like it's going to be a really good night, good profitable night. And I mean, at the end of the day, that's all we're all kind of searching for. So hope everyone's having a fantastic Wednesday, and let's jump in and have some fun. Get started with St. Louis at Tampa Bay. 9 total in this game. The Rays a 180 favorite. Liberatore going up against Little. Little? I don't know. Illa? I don't know. Littell, that's how you say it. Littell. I'm tired. Let's talk Liberatore first. Any interest here at 5,700 going up against Tampa?
I really don't. He just doesn't have a very high strikeout rate. He's got 12.6% K rate. Tampa Bay has just a lot of great bats that they can throw at him. So I just don't have a lot of interest in him as a pitcher.
Yeah. Tampa is such a tough team in general to face right now. I do, definitely don't mind a left-handed pitcher a little bit more than the right-handed pitchers. Like, see the strikeout rates go up a little bit more, but just a guy that's been struggling, really hasn't, put together a really good game since his first start of the season in May. If we're just being completely honest, he's really struggled. His ERA is pushing like 7. I hate ERA, but it gives us an idea. Other side of this game, Littell. Any interest here at 6,900 going up against St. Louis?
For the price, if you needed to save some money, don't mind it. Not someone I have a ton of interest in. There'll be some other pitchers that we'll kind of talk through even on a 4-game slate. But I maybe prefer him over Liberatore. So but not a ton of interest, I would say.
Yeah, this is still a tough lineup on paper. High walk rate, low strikeout rate, good power, good WOBA. Tough matchup. Good ballpark, tough matchup. His pitch count is in that like 70 to 85 range is what I would kind of put him at. I think like if he throws 6 good innings, they're going to get him out of there. It doesn't really matter what his pitch count is. It's kind of what happened last time out against Detroit, but not a huge strikeout guy. Kind of living in that like 17 to 20% on the season. And then, he worked out of the bullpen a little bit. So, we're not getting like full on stats for him, but it is a 4-game slate. I think you could do worse, but I think you could definitely do better today.
Yeah.
Cardinals bats. What do you like here for St. Louis?
Yeah, if I'm looking at the Cardinals bats, I always have some interest in Goldschmidt and Arenado. And with it being a 4-game slate, you have to have interest in some of these teams that you might not necessarily go to on a regular slate. But yeah, I would certainly have some interest in Goldschmidt and Arenado. St. Louis is certainly disappointed this year for the most part. I mean, you look at some of the talent, certainly thought they were going to do a little bit better than they have been. But yeah, Goldschmidt, Arenado, Nolan Gorman is someone that I always certainly like to in the lineups there. So probably those three are guys I like in the St. Louis lineup.
I think it's going to be a pretty high scoring game overall. Even in this ballpark, I think that this is a good hitting spot. So Nootbaar, Gorman, Arenado, Goldschmidt, Burleson, if he hits in that like 5th, 6th range. And if you need some value, you can go down. But I mean, the St. Louis like stack, if depending on like who's in there, pretty cheap overall. So I mean, you can easily get Goldschmidt, Arenado, and stack other 3 guys and have plenty of like money to pay up if you want to, get Nola or Paxton or Kershaw, pitchers that we're going to talk about here. So other side of this game, Tampa bats, Liberatore has been a guy that has really struggled this season. Definitely a pitcher that I like to stack against. His strikeout rate sitting around 12.5% on the year. 210 ISO, 413 WOBA to righties. Diaz, Franco, Ozarena, Paradis, Jose Siri down towards the bottom of that team, like bottom of that lineup. Like Tampa is a team that can put it on you, and I think this is a great spot for them.
Yeah, I agree. And there's a lot of great right-handed batters in that lineup. And you mentioned Jose Siri. He is super cheap. I was kind of looking at some of the pricing beforehand. And yeah, I think he's interesting. He always doesn't get played as much because he is usually batting 7th or so down in that lineup. But yeah, like you mentioned, Diaz, Franco, Rosarina, Paredes. Yeah, a lot of power in that lineup and certainly a good stackable play for tomorrow.
Yeah, it's so crazy. We're so used to like Jose Siri being this like non-everyday guy, kind of bounced around between like the Cincinnati organization, the Houston organization a little bit. And now he's just kind of found home in Tampa and quietly has like 21 home runs on the season. And if we look at if we dig into the stats even more, his numbers have been really good against both righties and lefties. So he doesn't typically get pinch hit for. And I mean, he has some upside. He has some pop. So
that he does. I think
he had
a home run tonight, didn't he? I think Siri,
did he hit a home run tonight? There you go.
Yeah, actually, I think he hit 2.
Oh, look at that.
Yep.
Quietly like 23 home runs.
Yeah, exactly.
He's not sneaky anymore. I hate the 610 games or 640 games, like with them not being on main slates, like they just pay attention to them so much less. So yeah. I hope there's a lot of scoring in the Tampa game. I have some family in town that is going to that game. So I hope there's a lot of scoring in that game, but we'll see. All right, Washington at Philadelphia, 9 total in this game. The Phillies a 275 favorite. Corbin and Nola, potential weather in this game and Boston. We'll leave that to Kevin Roth. We're going to break it down. Hopefully the weather's okay and we can play both of these games. If not, 2-game slate on a main slate, not fun. Patrick Corbin, 7,500 going up against Philadelphia. I mean, just same old Patrick Corbin, just giving up home runs, not really missing bats. Yep. I know it's a small slate, but I still, even on a small slate, don't think I can get to Corbin today.
Yeah, I agree. It'd be really tough to play him, like you said. He's just gives up a lot of home runs, not striking out a ton, gives up some hard contact. And even though the Phillies bats in general haven't maybe done as well as expected over the last several weeks, Castellanos, they put up some decent runs tonight, kind of on that earlier game slate too. And there's just, Castellanos, Alec Baum, Real Muto, Trey Turner, some of those guys that can really put up some points. So I definitely have interest on the Philadelphia bat side of it and won't be looking at Corbin.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about plenty of bats here. I think you're probably going to like the bats as well. Yeah. So we'll get there in just a second. Aaron Nola on the other side of this game. I mean, Washington is a low strikeout team, but Nola is a guy that he honestly could throw like a complete game shutout here. When we're looking at the pitching options on this slate, I think even in a matchup that's not ideal, we're playing Nola on a 4-game slate.
I completely agree. He's the best pitcher by quite a bit, just because Kershaw is just coming back. But yeah, like you said, he could pitch a complete game. He's priced up, but he's definitely worth it. And yeah, I think he's just a great option. Top pitcher on the slate for sure.
Yeah, I mean, just kind of comparing him to Kershaw. I mean, the Rockies are one of the worst offenses. So even if Kershaw only gets like 75 pitches, Kershaw could just dominate them in 75 pitches. But we have no idea what to expect pitch count wise. There's nothing. I looked and I read and I couldn't find anything. Through a simulated game Thursday, through a bullpen session Sunday, we have no idea what to expect pitch count wise. I mean, these are two of the clearly the top guys, but I think Kershaw's in that like 75 pitch range, and Nola is a guy that can go 100 plus. So if I had to put them next to each other, I like the matchup for Kershaw way more.
Absolutely.
But I like getting the 25 extra pitches potentially for Nola. But this might be one of those slates where I build teams with both of these guys and just kind of find bats where I can. So, Washington bats, they're going to be low owned today. Going up against Nola, the chalk pitcher. I think game theory wise, we can make an argument. I think just game theory wise, but I mean matchup wise, it's tough for me to get excited about playing Washington on any slate.
Yeah, it really is. Like you said, game theory wise, yeah, they are interesting, but they don't have Candelario anymore. The one guy that I maybe do have interest in as a one-off, I do like CJ Abrams. Batting first. I mean, he's just been putting up a lot of points and finding ways to just get on base and score. So I do like him maybe as a one-off play, but there really just isn't a lot to like in that Washington lineup. Like we kind of talked about, having more interest on the Aaron Nola side of it. So yeah, for me, more of just a one-off play with Abrams.
Yeah, I don't mind that. They're not even like tempting us either to like
they're not.
Play these guys like price wise. I mean, yeah. Washington's a team I really like to play against left-handed pitching, but I hate to play against right-handed pitching. And
Exactly.
I mean, they're not even tempting us. Like Thomas is 4,500. You mentioned Abrams at 4,300. Like Manessa's 36. Like these guys are low 3Ks. Maybe the leverage is worth it, but
Right.
I don't know. If you build 150 teams, I would have a handful of like Washington leverage stacks today because it's a 4-game slate and it's baseball.
Yep.
Variance happens.
Right.
Philadelphia batters. I mean, love Philadelphia today. Corbin with the home runs that he gives up, 4-game slate. I mean, you could talk to me about all these guys, but I did want to, before I let you go here, Castro on DraftKings at 2,900 is one of my favorite plays on the entire slate today.
Yeah, you noticed that too when I was kind of looking at pricing too. Yeah, you're exactly right. What a great play. The whole lineup really is in play for me. I mean, just a lot of great bats. Trey Turner, Alec Baum, and then I like getting Harper and Harper, Schwarber, all those guys in there too. Castellanos had a big game today. Real Muto. So yeah, I think just the whole lineup is in play. You can get some of the cheaper guys, like you said, with Castro, but they got to be one of the better stacks for sure on the slate today.
Yeah, if you're going 2 top-end pitchers, I mean, you're going to need some value here on the Philadelphia side. It's not like you could just plug in Real Muto, Harper, Schwarber, Castellanos, Turner. Like, you're going to need a little bit of value. So that was one of the reasons I liked Castro so much in this spot, is because what he offers for your overall stack. So kind of want to see what the lineup looks like. We're going to need, 1 or 2 value guys in this Philadelphia lineup that we're going to take some shots on here. So it'd be interesting to see who's in there. Because, I mean, if a guy like Rojas is in there and he hits really close to, like, say, Castro, like they hit like 6-7 combined, take the 2K guys and then pick 3 of the 4 or 5 studs here and kind of move on. And you mentioned Schwarber and Harper. Love lefty. I mean, Corbin definitely better against lefties, but still not dominant against lefties. His strikeout rate's 15%. Schwarber has a 250 ISO against lefties. He can hit lefties hard. So, like the lefty call there for sure. You got to get different somewhere when you're playing popular teams.
Yeah, exactly. And that's one of my favorite ways to do it, because they just tend to get overlooked even in a popular stack. So yeah, you're exactly right. So I would definitely be overweight on Schwarber and Harper tomorrow.
Kansas City at Boston, taking on my Sox, 10.5 total here. Red Sox a 275 favorite. It sounds like it's going to be an opener situation, and Alec Marsh is going to be the bulk guy here. Throw 60 to 70 pitches if he's pitching well. Small slate. Any interest in Marsh here?
I really don't. No. I think, I just don't think there's really enough there to entice me to get to play Marsh. I think I'd rather maybe take a shot on like Littell in that prior game that we talked about in the Rays game. So yeah, not a lot of interest for me.
I mean, I will say the Red Sox have been ice cold. Man, ice cold. So I could understand it. I don't think I would play an opener even on a 4-game slate here. But I mean, pitching, there's like 2 or 3 like viable options today. So if you're playing on DraftKings and you need a secondary pitcher, I mean, I'm not playing Ty Bloch against the Dodgers. I'll just go ahead and say that for sure. So you're potentially playing one of those Tampa pitcher in that game, or a punt here, but yeah, don't feel great about it for sure.
No.
Patrick Corbin might get some ownership today. I mean, and we didn't really talk about that too much, but I mean, he might get some ownership today just because of how the slate sets up. And yeah, that's scary to think about. Maybe, I mean, this is one of those slates I don't overthink pitching. I just play 2 of these 3 guys and move on.
Yep.
But let's talk about one of those guys. We got James Paxton going up against Kansas City. Paxton has been all over the place. Looked so good when he came back from the injury list or whatever they call it nowadays. He's 9,300. He gets a great matchup going up against Kansas City. He's a guy that's capable of striking people out. What are your thoughts on Paxton today?
I think he's definitely he's worth it for tournaments. And like you said, he's really been all over the place. The last 2 outings, he just hasn't performed well, going up against Toronto, going up against San Francisco. But yeah, you're right. I mean, he's had some great games in there. So he's certainly capable of it. Gets a great matchup, like you said, against Kansas City. So I think he's a great tournament play. I think Nola is such a solid, kind of your cash, first tournament play, but I certainly don't mind it. And you're just kind of hoping that he can pitch a gem here against Kansas City. So I think it's a really good tournament play.
I will say this too, like Pivetta, he got his strikeouts, like kind of what we were expecting from Pivetta. Yeah. Was hoping he'd pitch a little bit deeper into that game. I didn't hate the fact that he yanked him at 90 pitches. He had 8 strikeouts, gave up the 2 bombs, but I mean, that's kind of what Kansas City's been doing. They've been hitting home runs. So I don't mind taking some shots here on Paxton, but I mean, it's really, for me, it's Paxton, it's Kershaw, and it's Nola. Those are probably the only 3 pitchers I'm playing today.
Exactly.
Eat it. I'll just eat it. I'll eat that chalk. Fantastic chalk. Let me taste it. Kansas City bats. I mean, Witt and Perez are really interesting in this matchup. When you're like thinking about, where Paxton struggles, it's right-handed power. And that's the 2 guys that in this lineup, you're like excited to play. Maybe Garcia, if you want to run a little 3-man stack. Am I missing somebody? Is there anybody you want to add? What are your thoughts on Kansas City?
No, that's the same thing. And I had Witt and Perez written down, but I think you're exactly right. You throw Garcia in there too. I just think, they make a nice 2 to 3-man stack in there. And like I said, as much interest as I have in Paxton for tournaments, I don't mind playing a few of those good Kansas City bats on the right-handed side too.
And then on the Boston side, I mean, they're going to get a lefty opener and then a righty long guy. But, I mean, it's basically the same guys that I typically like to play here. Yoshida, Devers, Trevor Story's back. You could take some shots on him if he's in the lineup. Cassis, I don't mind playing lefty-lefty to start. I don't expect Cox to go more than 1 or 2 innings.
Yep, completely agree. And like you said, they have certainly been ice cold, but it'll be interesting to see kind of where the ownership shakes out there. But yeah, I think all those guys that you mentioned, like Devers and Cassis, Yoshida, Story, Duran, all those guys I think are, good tournament stacks there to put in for Boston.
All right, we're finishing up. Quick one today, only 4 games. It's a fun slate. There's so many ways you could build hitters wise, I guess. Pitching is just so straightforward though. Rockies and Dodgers, 8.5 total. The Dodgers a 390 favorite. It sounds like Kershaw will come off the IL. If he doesn't, we'll see who's pitching. But I mean, I'm going to likely have interest in whoever's pitching for the Dodgers, even if it's not Kershaw, because the Rockies stink. Ty Blotch pitching for the Rockies today. Any interest in him here?
No, not at all. I'm going to have a ton of interest in the Dodgers bats. I mean, the Dodgers bats are a team that I have interest in pretty much any night, even against good pitching. And so now you get a great opportunity. They're huge favorites. So yeah, the Dodgers bats are one of my top stacks on the slate for sure.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they're in a great spot.
They're in a great spot.
Rockies bullpen's not good either. This is this is just one of those spots you're like super excited to play the Dodgers. So we'll talk about them in a second. Let's talk Clayton Kershaw. Like I said, simulated game Thursday. Typically in simulated games, you throw 2 to 3 innings, hard innings. So he probably threw like 40, 45 pitches, 50 pitches. Bullpen session, you're not throwing extremely hard, but you are, ramping up. So, I mean, I expect him to be in like the 70 to 75 range. I think they're going to be very careful with him. Opening day, he threw 76 pitches. I think that's a really good comp to what we're looking at here. He didn't miss a lot of time, but he missed enough time. What are your thoughts here on Kershaw?
Yeah, I like him. Like you said, really pitching does seem fairly straightforward. Nola, Kershaw, Paxton, those are 3 great choices at the top there. And I kind of hope his ownership is a little bit, lesser just because he isn't going to, be pitching at full capacity. So I'm hoping that does lower his ownership a little bit. And like you said, Rocky's bullpen is not good. Definitely have interest in Kershaw. Think he's a great play, even at limited pitches tomorrow.
Rocky's bullpen is something.
Yes, it is.
It's something. All right, let's talk Rockies bats. I mean, assuming it's Kershaw, any interest in the Rockies here?
No, I don't. I mean, the Rockies weren't great, but, they got rid of Crone, they got rid of Grichuk, they got rid of some of their good right-handed bats before the trade deadline. So there's just not a lot not to like here. So more interest in the Clayton Kershaw side for sure.
Yeah, I was just looking and I was like, man, is there anything?
I know.
Like the one Brendan Rodgers, if the hamstring is better and he's back in the lineup, he's 2,500.
He's very cheap. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe just taking a shot there. Dodgers, I love them, all of them, every single one. Anybody that cracks the lineup, I think, is in play. Like,
I agree.
Ty Blotch he has a 9% strikeout rate on the season. He's not a guy that's going to go deep into this game. We're going to get a lot of bullpen. He's just not a great pitcher. He gives up plenty of hard contact. Love this spot for the Dodgers today.
Yep, I do too. I mean, just looking at it, like you said, and I think the great part is like you said, 1 through 9, play him. He has a low strikeout rate. And I mean, obviously you're going to love Betts, Freeman, JD, Muncy, Smith. But yeah, any of the guys that crack the lineup, Peralta, Hayward, whoever, well, I guess lefties in there too. But yeah, you've got Taylor, you've got Rosario. Yep, the whole lineup is in play.
Yeah. Every single one of them. I mean, this is just not one of those spots. I don't think you should overthink this spot. I mean, this is just a spot you load up on the Dodgers today.
Yep.
It's weird. I mean, like it's interesting when you have these slates that seem just so straightforward where, there's plenty of bats you want to take. The pitching is very straightforward for me. I mean, there's maybe 1 or 2 guys you could, take some tournament shots on, but overall, like, you kind of know what you're doing here as far as hitting. So, and pitching, it's one of those slates where everyone's kind of be doing the same thing. So like stack bottom half of lineups,
different that way.
Yeah. Make your stacks different that way. Mm-hmm. Maybe take a couple shots on like game theory stacks, but pretty straightforward slate, fun slate. Hopefully the weather holds off in those 2 games, but all right, let's play the morning grind game. A little tougher today, but it's fun when it's tough like this. Under 8,000. Yeah, under 8K to get 6 or more strikeouts. Who do you got?
I am going to go not a lot to choose from, but I'm going to go Littell for Tampa Bay.
Yeah, it's ugly. I mean, Corbin might strike out. 6 and give up 6 runs.
Yeah.
But I think that per the question, I think he has an opportunity to get 6 strikeouts. Yeah.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, something. Over 4K to score under 15. We have 3 guys. We're playing all 3 of these guys, but I mean, I guess just a guy that you think is going to score under 15.
And you said over 4K?
No, over 8K to score under 15.
Oh, gotcha. Over 8K. Okay.
Top end pitching. Who's going bad?
I am going to say, give me Paxton.
All right. I guess I'll go. I think Kershaw, even in limited pitches, has a better chance to get 15 in this matchup. Give me Nola, I guess. I'm playing all 3 of these guys. We're all playing all 3 of these guys.
Yes, we are.
Over 4,000 to hit a home run. Who's going yard today?
Over 4,000 to go home run. I am going to say, oh boy. I'm going to go Castellanos. I really like him.
Oh, okay. I like that one. I'm going to go with Rosarina. I like the spot a lot today for Tampa. And that might be one of the stacks I try to get a little different with.
I think that is a good one to get different with for sure.
I don't even know if it's going to be different, but in my head, I want it to be different. Under 4K to get 2 hits today. Who's a cheap bet that you like to get a couple hits?
We talked about him earlier, and I still like him, and he's always usually batting down or, batting 7th or so in the order, but I'm going to say Jose Siri.
I like that. It might, 2 home runs, like you said. You can get the job done.
Got the upside.
I'm hoping this guy cracks the lineup today. Chris Taylor at 3,400. Yeah. I mentioned Castro. Love Castro today. One of my favorite value plays on the slate is Castro. But I wanted to give out another one. Castro's in a fantastic spot.
Yeah, he is.
Stack to score 6 or more runs. Who's getting on the board today?
We talked about quite a few that we liked. I will go. I'll stick with, I talked about Castellanos and liking a lot of those Phillies bats too. I'm going to go with Philadelphia.
Like that. I'm going to go Tampa. I think Tampa gets the job done today. Dodgers, easy answer.
That's an easy one. That's an easy one. Yep.
Yeah. I will say Dave in chat says, doesn't Kershaw prefer Barnes over Smith? Yes, that is why Barnes is still in the majors.
Right.
Barnes is a fantastic catcher, and he does a great job. And yeah, he will likely catch today. It wouldn't shock me though if Smith DHs.
Right.
What it's worth. That's why I was wondering if Taylor was going to be in there or not. So that's why I said that. All right, Christy, any final thoughts before we get out of here?
No, I think great slate for a 4-gamer. I think there's enough ways to get a little bit different. And great talking through the slate with you.
Yeah, always fun. I agree. I think there's a few ways to get different. I think it's more lineup construction and how you're building your stacks to be different. I don't know if there's necessarily teams to get different with today. Maybe Kansas City. If you go Kershaw like Nola and build some Kansas City, I don't hate that. That's going to wrap it up here for Thursday. We'll be back Friday talking baseball. Hope everyone has a fantastic day. We'll see you again